allow me to introduce you to Simon Kidston, Executive Director of Genex Power. Thank you so much, Simon.
Thank you, Amy. Great to be back here. I think this is our 5th time presenting at the Noosa conference, and we're really excited that Genex Power is transitioning now to a diversified renewable energy company and energy storage company. Those that have seen my presentation before will be familiar with the image in front of you, our operating solar farm in the background, and the 2 former gold mining pits in the foreground that will soon be turned into our flagship pump storage hydro project. In terms of Genex at a glance, we are very, very focused on renewable energy generation and energy storage. We are strongly capped financially, cash in excess of $61 million and a market cap of $102 million. The board and senior management are significantly invested in the company and thereby having a strong alignment of interest with each and every one of our shareholders. In terms of our portfolio, our flagship Kidston Clean Energy Hub in North Queensland has been developed in stages. We're now very, very excited to accelerate our battery strategy with our first project located in Rockhampton. And in New South Wales, we've got a solar farm which is nearing the end of the construction phase. The portfolio is, I guess, denoted by the fact that each of the projects are backed by long-term contracts, providing very, very stable cash flows to the business. And this is a real key focus to our business as we grow our diversified portfolio to ensure that each project over time is backed by these long-term contracts as we build our revenue profile in the market. The best example of that is our Kidston 1 operating solar farm. Solar farm was built in North Queensland in 2017. It benefits by a 20-year contract with the Queensland government, which underpins the revenues from that project until July 2038. So a fantastic base from which to build the company. And that project now has been generating happily ever since over the last 3 years. Earlier this week, I was in the Jemalong solar farm. We're now 90% through the construction phase. This project's located near Parkes in New South Wales. It's 50 megawatts of solar, and we expect that project to commence generation in December. So we're almost there. And when this project comes online, it will significantly re-rate the revenues of the business. And we're looking forward to that milestone eventuating in a short number of weeks from today. Our flagship project is our K2 hydro project. This is our 250 megawatt pump storage hydro project at Kidston, North Queensland. We are partnering with Energy Australia, and they'll be providing a very long-term 30-year revenue contract, which underpins the project finance. And we're now working very, very hard to put in place the final steps to enable that project to proceed, with construction slated to commence in 2021. The new project in the portfolio is the Bouldercombe battery project, located at Rockhampton in Queensland. We've chosen the technology supplier and we're going through the connection process, and we expect that that project will be financed by around June of next year, with first revenues by the end of 2021. And of course, we've got an exciting portfolio of pipeline wind and solar assets, which we can develop over time. One thing we're very proud of at Genex is our clean energy credentials. In a world that's increasingly focused on ethical and sustainable investment options, we believe Genex delivers in spades. And the way we assess our performance is in the form of CO2 abatement, or the amount of carbon that we're not emitting into the atmosphere by virtue of the generation of our renewable clean energy projects. Over time, as the portfolio is developed, we expect that this portfolio will offset around 2 million tonnes of CO2 per annum, which is a truly very significant portfolio in a global context. What I'd like to talk about next is our battery project, which is really the next stage of Genex's storage strategy. And in particular, batteries, I guess, have similar financial dynamics to our pump storage hydro project. They store energy, they enable energy to be dispatched into the market at times of peak demand. But what we've seen in Australia is the very successful development of 5 large-scale batteries in Victoria and South Australia. Those projects have proven to be very, very profitable, and we see an opportunity to replicate that strategy and build the first large-scale standalone battery in Queensland. And we've chosen a fantastic site in Rockhampton to do that. Of course, the revenues from batteries are twofold. Firstly, there's the arbitrage between off-peak and peak energy prices, charging the battery when prices are low, and then discharging the battery and selling into the grid when prices are high. That's a very well understood revenue stream which this project will benefit from. In addition to that, there's a number of auxiliary services or like frequency control services which batteries can provide to the market and provide additional revenue streams. It's those revenue streams in Victoria and South Australia that have proven to be very profitable, and we're very, very keen to replicate that for Genex shareholders in Queensland. Our particular project, or the first battery project that we seek to develop, is located in Rockhampton. It's in the suburbs of Rockhampton, so it's in a very, very good part of the grid. We've secured a site which is located immediately adjacent to one of the major substations in Queensland. And our strategy is to develop a 50 megawatt or 75 megawatt hour battery. So effectively 50 megawatts generating for 1.5 hours per day. We've now chosen our battery supplier. It's a tier 1 global company, and together with them, we're finalising the connection process and the other, I guess, financing steps which will enable the project to commence construction by around June of next year. And the beauty of battery projects is that they only take a small number of months to go through the construction phase. So we see the potential now to, again, change our revenues by the end of next year. So very, very exciting development for the business. And of course, the successful completion of this project will enable us to look at other opportunities, other batteries on the eastern seaboard of Australia. A little bit on our flagship pump storage hydro project. Of course, as many will know, we've got a fantastic site in North Queensland. The former gold mine is being repurposed, the conversion of 2 enormous holes in the ground into an upper and lower reservoir. We have all the key bits of infrastructure in place, and we have designed a 250 megawatt generator that can generate continuously for 8 hours and therefore be a very strategic piece of energy infrastructure in Queensland. One thing about hydro is that bigger is truly better, and the advantage this project has is enormously deep former mine pits, more than 300 metres deep in the case of our lower reservoir, which enables a very, very efficient hydro system. And to give you a sense of, I guess, the scale here, the water flowing through the turbines to generate the power is enough water to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool every 15 seconds. I'm sure you can imagine the enormous force the water would generate when it falls such a vast distance through the turbines to create a very efficient system. There's enormous benefits to the grid from the development of this project, and I think that explains why the project has attracted the strong support from the federal government and the Queensland government. The market's crying out for low-cost, efficient energy storage, grid stability, and this project delivers that in spades. The project has assembled a tier 1 group of counterparties, and we're very, very proud that we're partnered with some of the leading companies in the energy space globally. Firstly, Energy Australia are one of the major energy retailers in this country. They will be providing the long-term energy contract which underpins our project finance. J-Power, which is a big Japanese utility with deep expertise in pump hydro, will be a cornerstone investor in Genex and provide technical support to the project. We've got tier 1 builders to build the project for us under a fixed price contract. John Holland and McConnell Dow are best of breed in terms of builders for these sort of large scale infrastructure projects. And we're blessed by the strong support by the federal government, in particular, the Northern Australia Infrastructure Facility, the ARENA, who have both committed to supporting the project. And finally, there will be a new transmission line that is built for this project. Powerlink will build that line for us under a co-funding model, which we're very, very close to finalising. In terms of the investment thematics, really the attraction from us as shareholders in Genex is the long-term contract provided by Energy Australia. They're a very, very large company. They're one of the major energy retailers, and they have agreed to provide a fixed and known cash flow to the business for up to 30 years, which is a fantastic amount of revenue certainty, which really does make this, we think, a very interesting investment proposition. So up to 30-year revenue stream from a tier one counterparty, and the combination of that enables us to finalise the funding arrangements with our funding backers. In terms of the final steps to reach financial close, which is the key thing we're seeking to put in place this calendar year, we've just ticked off the agreement with J-Power, which is a $25 million investment by them into Genex, which is the capital we need to get this project off the ground. Together with that process, we're running a joint venture sale process whereby we intend to partner with or finalise the details of a joint venture investment at the project level, which will see Genex Power and our partner owning the project 50-50 together over the next 30 years. And the final step of the puzzle is to finalise the transmission funding arrangements with the Queensland Government. Just a little bit on our existing portfolio. Our operating solar farm up in North Queensland, the 50 megawatt Kidston solar farm, has been generating some good cash flows over the last couple of years, some $34 million of revenue to date. It's been generated by this project, and we expect that to continue for the next 20 years under contract and with an economic life of 30 years. So a fantastic bedrock or cornerstone asset for the company, which is now generating good solid cash flows for the business. That's been followed up by the Jemalong project, which, as I said earlier, is nearing completion. Some 90% of the construction process has been completed, and we're on track to commence energisation in December. And that step will enable us to double our revenues, we believe, once it's fully operational early next year. So it's a very, very exciting project. It's coming along nicely. It's fantastic to see the project being rolled out without any issues in what has been a fairly challenging environment with COVID, but we managed to sort those issues out and make sure the project gets delivered on time and on budget. So in terms of the outlook for the business, I think it's clear that we've got two projects producing steady state cash flows, or certainly the second one connecting very, very shortly. There's a lot of upside we think that can be unlocked from our hydro project. It will be the first pump storage project developed in Australia since the 1980s. It is critical infrastructure, and we're blessed to have some very, very committed tier one stakeholders in the form of Energy Australia, J-Power and NAIF and ARENA. The project is shovel ready, and we expect to commence construction very, very shortly. Jemalong, of course, provides a short-term earnings boost, but in summary, the business is well capitalised. It's very, very focused on delivering for our shareholders, and we look forward to making more announcements to the market as and when they eventuate. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Simon.